The document I picked is from the History Hit channel, and it takes us inside the Quarry Bank mill in Cheshire, and it helps to show the industrial work and what it actually looked like and felt like to be a British industrial worker during the cotton boom. And I think the film does a really good job at explaining how history is presented on screen, which includes the detailed on-site narration, expert demonstrations, some differing like quoted testimonies, and the stage moments throughout the video that help to better immerse us in the 19th century like factory life or industrial worker life. So I think the first technique it does really good on is the on-site narration and the immersion. So the video first begins with in second person with them asking us, imagine it's the early 19th century as a report for a 12-hour shift where time is money. So I think this direct quote, the machine noises in the background and the quick cuts set a like embodied tone. And we also see the Great Water Wheel and hear that it weighs 44 tons and it delivers 100 horsepower, which I think this stat signals the scale and the stakes. So the technique 2, which is the primary source on camera. So I think this is probably the most persuasive moment throughout the video, and the narrator like handles a 1785 indentured contract for this 11-year-old boy named Thomas, which has him bound to working in this factory until he was 21, so for 10 years. And I think that seeing the signatures and the terms like child labor turns it from a more like kind of abstract idea into like actual policy on paper. So the third technique, which is the kind of technical demonstration. So the interview with Rex describes just how a spinning mule works, which like explains like the fibers are drawn to thickness, then they're twisted for strength and wobbles on the bobbins, blah blah blah. And we also learn why like the humidity is essential to prevent breakage and how the piece rate pay makes stoppage costly. And I just think this explaining of the mechanics and the pay systems just helped to better put us in the perspective of a factory worker. So the fourth technique, which I think is the workers' voices. So these examples describe like the punishment for idleness in work. So like you can get beat, you can even have, so in one of the examples was a child's like ear getting nailed to a table. So I think these short kind of reenactments throughout the video, and there's also some of them such as like the foreman snapping that the clock never lies, just visualize control. And the video also shows the slave clocks, which are synchronized across the site and even suggest some owners like tamper with the timing, like and slow days down and speeding nights, and then we'll also fine for like late arrivals. The fifth technique I think is used is kind of injury, illness, and nuance. So different statistics display that up to 40% of the cases at the Manchester Infirmary in 1833 were factory related. I think in the Quarry Bank records include a child fatality in 1865. So when 11-year-old John Fulton was crushed under the mill, which was this fatality. The video keeps nuance as it notes how like differing like urban diseases such as like tuberculosis and cholera heavily shape life expectancy. It also includes like workers' perceived benefits at the time, such as regular weekly pay compared with a more agricultural income. The sixth technique, which is global fame and morale costs. So the documentary links local profits to the Atlantic slave trade, noting how cotton sourced from enslaved labor in the Americas and Samuel Gregg's inheritance of a Dominican sugar plantation. And by connecting the factory cloths to the slave market, the video kind of widens the lens from the basis of just a mill floor to just an empire. And just as a conclusion, I think that the documentary is like highly effective as it earns trust with material evidence such as the contract, operational details like the spinning mule, the mechanics behind it, and the humidity at the time, and just the different testimonies that convey the discipline and fear that you need, or not that you need, but that are shown. And most importantly, the film balances scenes with context, such as the current technology, the law, the health, the wages, and the slavery that was going on at the time, so the viewer can understand not just what is happening in the cotton mill, but also how industries organize time and profit. And I also believe that this type of like layered approach makes the historical argument both just clear and compelling.